Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel and another video. Most people when they start off in film photography rely on experts to both develop and convert their negatives into positives, either for digital storage or for printing. However, when you get to a certain standard, you might like to try these things yourselves. This time I'd like to take a look at scanning your own images. In a future video, I'll show you what I've done in terms of setting up a home scanning system on a minimal budget. But for now, I want to concentrate on the actual conversion process. What I've been doing up until recently is taking the scanned negative, converting it to a positive myself, and then making any adjustments that I need, cropping, adjusting colors, contrast, etc. But there are a few tools on the market that actually can automate this process for you, and therefore obviously if you've got a lot of images to convert, make it quicker. I'd like to look at one this time called Grain2Pixel. Now this is a bit of software that fits in with Photoshop and allows this process to be automated. I've managed to install it and followed their online videos, which have been very, very informative. And I'd like to show you my very first attempts at doing this. I'll leave a link in the description below to it if you choose to use the software yourself. But yeah, let's take a look. Okay, so here we are in Photoshop, and what you're looking at is a color scan of a color negative 35mm, although the format's not really relevant in this case. A scan of a friend of mine, and it's stored in TIFF format. It's quite a low resolution. It's only 72 pixels per inch, but it's just for illustration purposes. I've done nothing else to it. As you can see, it's quite badly cropped at the moment because it was done in a hurry, and there's basically just nothing to it as such. Now, if I were to use Photoshop to invert the colours on this, so do nothing, I'm doing no other adjustments whatsoever, I am just choosing to invert the image, what we will get is obviously a very basic conversion. Now you can see there that it's very overexposed. There is a strong colour cast to it, there is blue-green colour cast to it, contrast is all washed out, etc, etc. Now if your skill in Photoshop is of a sort of medium standard, it's not too difficult. There's detail there that will come back, providing you know what you're doing. It's not the greatest scan in the world, so it's never going to look fantastic, but you know, it will be acceptable to most people. But obviously all those adjustments are time consuming, and if you have a folder full of images, that's going to you know, take an awful long time to actually achieve the results that you're looking for. Okay, so here is the second scan, this time a black and white negative, scanned in black and white. So I'm not going to have any sort of colour cast to worry about necessarily, but possibly others. Let me just do a quick Control I and just see what Photoshop makes. So just inverting the image again, not actually making any adjustments as such, and we have obviously a big problem with overexposure, contrast, etc. However, again, I can see a lot of detail in the image, and I would imagine with a bit of time spent, perhaps not as much as the colour one, but a bit of time spent would actually make this into a decent image, and that one I'd be more than happy with. But let's see if Grain2Pixel, or what Grain2Pixel can make with both of these images. I'm not going to go into any great detail when it comes to installing Grain2Pixel. There are many good tutorials on their website. For those of you that are very familiar with Photoshop, you'll know that it's an action, and actions are pretty easy to set up and record, and you can assign them to a hotkey, which I chose Control F7. So if I click that, this is what I get. Nice simple interface. At the top here, first of all, it's telling you that we can deal with either raw files or alternatively TIFF. Obviously this is going to depend on what you have scanned your images to, scanned your negatives to. I chose TIFF, so I need to make sure that's selected. And then the input, so source files are all in a folder just off my desktop. Oh, there they are, perfect. So we need to select the files. Obviously this could have been an entire folder we could do. Output then, where the conversions are going to be placed, I'm just going to choose to save in the same location, although it will automatically put them in a subfolder which you can customize the name of, but I'm just going to leave it as the default name for now. The output files themselves, you've got a choice in terms of the format as JPEG, and you can then choose your level of compression. I'm just going to leave them as TIFFs for now. No real need to do anything otherwise. Okay, so on to the actual conversion setup itself. This first tab are things that occur prior to the conversion taking place. Cropping the images. We've got three options. Single crop basically relates to if you've got a bunch of photographs, or a bunch of negatives rather, that are taken of the same subject, perhaps similar framing, etc., etc. You know, they're all aligned, etc. You could then choose your crop setup on the very first image, and it will then automatically apply that to all the remaining images. However, more often than not, you would prefer to actually choose interactive crop, whereby it will request that you crop the image. It will then do the conversion, then it will request the crop on the next image, and so on and so forth. I'm not going to bother cropping at all for now. I just want to show you the actual conversion. Film-based sampling then. Now the way I understand this is that you need to, or the application needs to actually know what the base color of the film is. In other words, if the image were not exposed at all, if the negative was not exposed at all, what color would that be? It can then obviously base all remaining colors off that. So a border, perhaps a site of the sprocket holes, etc., will allow it to do that. If you want to manually select that area, or that color base if you like, then obviously you can do, or you can get it turned off. I'm going to leave it on auto. We'll just see what it does, and maybe we can have a look at it afterwards. Custom light cast correction mapping, I have no clue yet. I've not delved into this area at all, so I'm just going to ignore that for now. But I'm guessing what you can do is pre-set up what they call a custom light cast correction map, and allow it to apply those settings automatically. But yeah, a bit over my head just yet. Keep the files open after the conversion, so basically once it's done they are left open in Photoshop. I'll leave that unchecked for now. The conversion itself then, so in terms of color cast removing, we can obviously choose for it to not attempt that at all. You saw on the color negative I showed you earlier, when I just do a straight inversion, there certainly is some color casting that needs removing. I'm told by the documentation of G2P that ticking smart will be 9 times out of 10 good enough, but obviously there's an option for extra if it's not. Light balance, again, it's going to automatically try and adjust light balance and contrast, exposure, etc. So again, I'm going to leave that ticked for now, and we'll see how it gets on. And then finally we have post conversion. In other words, things that are done after the conversion takes place. Photoshop actions basically. So here I already have a list of the current actions that are stored in my version of Photoshop. However, I can record new ones and assign them, etc., and then have them performed automatically once the conversion is complete. I'm not going to bother at the moment. Let's just run it and see what happens. Right, so off it goes. And hopefully it won't take too long. My computer is not the most powerful in the world, so it may well be not the fault of G2P, but the fault of my computer if it does take a minute or so. But it's clearly doing something, opening up layers. Okay, film-based value. So this is what I was saying. It has now chosen the basis of what color casting it's going to use. In other words, what the default film color is, and therefore adjust everything from that. What it's basically saying here is it's chosen that for this one. Would I like to accept that for all the following images? Obviously, I can't do that because the first one's black and white. The first one's colour, the second one's black and white, completely different films. However, if they were all from the same film, then obviously you could just say yes to this. I'll click no and let it continue. Okay, that appears to have finished. Let's take a look. Okay, so let's see what we've got. As you can see, it's made a log file and a subdirectory which I didn't bother renaming, so it's just called it TIFF, which is fair enough. And yeah, we have some positives. Let's just open one at a time. Actually, let me just open the colour one first of all and see what we've got. Okay, well, first impression is not great. The colour isn't quite right. There's still that blue-green cast to it, but I'm more concerned with the pixelation, the noise that we have, especially on the face. Now, let's just zoom in a minute. I don't know whether or not that's something I've done wrong and that I shouldn't be blaming G2P. A couple of things spring to mind. I didn't leave it any border around the scan to therefore sample the base colour that I mentioned, the film base colour. So it's had to guess somewhat. However, I'm still not convinced that's what's caused the pixelation or the noise. I also scanned it at quite a low a low resolution. It's 72 pixels per inch. Maybe it needs a higher resolution. But again, I'm not too sure. Possibly it's just the settings that I have used. Perhaps I've not chose the optimal ones. This video was very much designed to be a jump straight in and give it a go type affair, and that's exactly what I've done. But maybe I need to do a bit more research on the controls and also perhaps a little bit of experimentation. So all in all, a little bit disappointing, but not necessarily G2P's fault. Let me just open up and show you what the scan should look like. I for the purposes of this video chose to get my negative scan professionally, again at the lowest resolution possible offered. Yeah, well, you can see there's quite a difference. Let's make them a similar size. The professional one, there's no pixelation at all. Colours are bang on. Yeah, it's not the greatest photograph in the world because it was literally a quick snap taken for the purposes of this, but you can see there is quite a difference. Yeah, like I say, I need to play around with it more. I'm not going to condemn G2P just yet, but at the moment, if that's what it's basing on, then I'll stick to either professional scans or doing the adjustments myself by hand as opposed to trying to automate them. However, let's have a look at the black and white one. Let's see how we get on with that. Okay, let's open this up. Yeah, okay, well that's much better, but then we haven't got colours to worry about. Perhaps still a little bit overexposed, that could be tweaked a little bit, but yeah, all in all I would be very happy with that. I would perhaps just make some minor adjustments. If you're getting your negatives professionally scanned, because there's human decisions being made, there will still be decisions that you're not always happy with, and that's obviously where you build up a relationship with the people that are doing the scanning for you, and developing as well, you know. But all in all, you know, I would be very happy with that. So let's just put it alongside the professional version and see what we think. Oops, a little vertically. Yeah, I mean, let's just put them at the same size. I wouldn't. Yeah, I wouldn't have much difference. I mean, there's a slight there's more contrast in this one, obviously, because being professional. This one, you know, a little bit more washed out, but yeah, nothing much in it, and this one could easily be fixed. So it's done a very good job on that. But obviously, no colours to concern ourselves with. Yeah, I need to play with it more, I think, is the answer. Well, there you go. Not entirely successful, but I'm pretty sure not Grain2Pixel's fault. So I do urge you to give it a try for yourselves. I'm certainly going to stick with it and play around and see if I can improve my technique. Link is in the description below. So that's it for another video. Thank you ever so much again for all your follows, likes, and you know, sharing of my videos. I really do appreciate it, and I'll see you next time.